That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Beyond Therapy, the 1987 Robert Altman film that is being released on Blu-ray courtesy of Scorpion Releasing, February 18th, 2020. It was released in 1987. It's based on the 1981 play by Christopher Durang, which Sigourney Weaver originated off Broadway, which also was a popular Broadway production. It's considered by many to be one of Altman's worst films.
Oh.
I had never seen it previously, even though I had tortured my sister by reading this play aloud to her a lot when we were both kids.
Could you name some Robert Altman films I would know?
Nashville.
No.
MASH.
That's a TV show?
He did the film.
I didn't even know there was a film. Films I would know. You know I have not seen those. Come on.
Well, 3 Women is in my top 10 of all time, which I've asked you repeatedly to watch, which you
The
haven't.
remake?
3 Women with Shelley Duvall and Sissy Spacek. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh.
It has not been remade.
What's the one with Jada Pinkett and Diane Keaton and it's like 4 ladies?
Something with Mad Money or something?
No, it's a remake. We'll figure it out.
Robert Altman, Prairie Home Companion was his last film.
I know that one with Lindsay Lohan and Meryl Streep.
And Lily Tomlin. Dr. Teen the Women, Cookie's Fortune.
That's okay.
You've seen Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, which is a favorite of mine. I love that film. That was 1982. He has the Images with Susanna York.
Okay.
The Cold Day in the Park with Sandy Dennis.
All right. Don't know any of these. It's okay.
McCabe and Mrs. Miller. Like, he really has so many... he's the reason Shelley Duvall is famous.
Her talent made her famous.
Robert Altman made that bitch famous.
Anyway.
And Sigourney Weaver almost did... Well, I'm glad she didn't do this, but she worked on a project with him called Lone Star that never came to fruition.
With Shangela Laquifa Wadley?
No.
Lone Star? Oh, never mind.
This would have been in the 80s.
Never mind. Because Sigourney did shoot a pilot with Shangela.
Yeah, that was directed by
But I'm thinking
Jake
there's
Kasdan.
a show with the man from Miami Vice, Don Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Was it like a Lone Star?
Are you thinking Walker, Texas Ranger?
Yes,
That's
that's
Chuck Norris.
Whatever.
And
This film stars
Jeff Goldblum,
and the lady from Airplane.
Julie Hagerty. And you just saw her in Marriage Story.
And Jamie Lee Curtis's husband.
Christopher Guest,
Yes.
Tom Conti, the 2-time Oscar-winning Glenda Jackson, and Geneviève Page, I think is also worth mentioning, who plays Christopher Guest's mother. She was in Belle de Jour. This is the 4th time Goldblum, a third of 3 or 4 films Jeff Goldblum did with Altman, the only one he's a lead in.
So this film starts with Jeff Goldblum sitting in like a French restaurant waiting for like his Tinder date to show up, who is the lady.
Julie Hagerty, Prudence.
And immediately they clash because he shares with her that he is bisexual and she says, I don't like gay men.
And he also likes to cry and not makes himself cry.
Yeah,
she doesn't like that either.
But for some reason they're drawn to each other. So they have this sort of like awkward first date, which is meant to be calamitous. We also like...
The mother of Christopher, he's dating Christopher Guest, Bob, and Bob's mother's in the restaurant and sees it happening.
So of course she's upset that her son's partner is cheating on him with a lady, so she thinks, which he is.
The date ends disastrously, and then they both put in another personal ad and end up on a second date at the same restaurant.
So then they continue to connect. She's invited back to the 2 men's home to like sort of like the purpose was for them to all meet and see how that goes off.
Yeah,
Right.
kind of. I think there's supposed to be a romantic date between the 2, and then Bob is just there.
Right. So in between all of this, there are visits to therapy sessions. All 3 of them. Well, 2 of them are visiting. Well, actually, all 3 are visiting the therapist. So, and then it ends with
them just all eating dinner together at that French restaurant.
Okay, so when you put it all together, it sounds like it'd be a really fun, comedic romp. And it has its moments.
Sure.
I think the supporting cast
Fares
is
much
very
better.
strong. But Jeff Goldblum, who I really, really like, I think that he is too peculiar and special of a gentleman to be played. I think his appeal is when he is sort of allowed to like organically present his personality. So in this role where his character is so affected, it was tedious.
Yeah.
It was very tedious. And then the lady,
Julie Hagerty.
She's cute. She reminds me of some white person's mom. I don't know, but she's cute.
Like Scarlett Johansson's in Marriage Story?
Yeah. She could be any white person's mom. Yeah. She's cute, but
I think
the vile things that come out of her mouth, like her being so unreasonable and homophobic and stupid, it doesn't really fit that actor's characterization.
Yeah. I think the tone of both Goldblum's style and Hagerty, I don't think they're directed well enough to... they don't fit.
The person who wrote this story, they did a play that I saw.
Many, but I brought you to Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike.
So that one felt a lot smarter and witty, like quick. This film feels...
Well, I think that's Altman's touch. So apparently Durang does have credit on the screenplay, but apparently Altman took it out of his hands and rewrote a bunch of stuff. And there's very Altman-esque techniques, including I would call terrible editing. The way this film is edited together butchers the comedic timing of it, I think.
Sure. Sure.
But that Beyond Therapy feels like an ode to like slapstick film from 30s and 40s, like Bringing Up Baby and His Girl Friday. Like it's supposed to feel zany. It's just that it's so heavy here.
I don't have much else to say except that I think this story is pre-AIDS, but it's set in like 87. So I think a big misstep is that HIV and AIDS is not brought up, because any other film revolving around a gay man during that time and like being sexual and romantic, especially like with him being bisexual and being with a woman and her not liking it, she never once mentions that, which I think was a huge misstep. This film feels very dated, like it's not current to 1987.
Also the fact, so Altman was living in Paris at the time. It's set in New York, but it's filmed in Paris, and it's very evident.
It's very obvious this film is not filmed in New York.
It just, none of it works. It just, you can see how the wheels might have gone on a track somewhere, and they just don't work. Also the Someone to Watch Over Me Gershwin tune that plays over it is, I think, hobbles it even further, which you made comment of.
Okay, I don't remember, but
I started and you're like, ugh, who's that singing?
Oh, that's right, I didn't like that song.
Yeah, which is funny because 87 was the year that Ridley Scott directed the thriller Someone to Watch Over Me with Mimi Rogers and Tom Berenger.
Okay.
Also utilized that too.
What would you give this film?
Is there anything you liked about the film?
Yeah, I liked Christopher Guest. I liked the two therapists.
Tom Conti and Glenda Jackson.
And I liked Bob's mom.
Geneviève Page. Oh, I think it's also important to note that Altman had quite a few queer characters in his oeuvre. Like, come back to the Five and Dime Jimmy Dean. Jimmy Dean is, Karen Black is the trans woman who was played as a young man by the guy from Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Okay.
I forget his name. Streamers is with Mitchell Lichtenstein as a gay man in the military. There's a lesbian couple and a perfect couple. And probably others I'm forgetting. So it just, the fact that these are so, this feels so off-putting is...
So what would you give this film?
2 out of 5.
I would give it 2 out of 5. I do think it's worth a watch, though.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're a completist needing to catch up on some Altman films, now's the time to do it.
All right, bye.
Bye.